I actually started writing Space Invaders for the BBC Micro as part of a website's Write a Game in Basic competition, but after I'd got about a quarter of the way through, I realised that Basic was actually too difficult for me nowadays, and I had to go back and rewrite it all in assembler. When I used to get a new machine or a new environment or a new language, the first thing I used to write was Space Invaders, as it was a good way to get used to sound, graphics, keyboard, and maybe joystick if you had one. I've probably still got a couple of versions that I wrote for the BBC back in about 82, one of which is in mode 7. On the other black and white games I've written, Circus, Sprint, Ripcord, I've actually simulated the cellulose stuck on the screen to change the colour by running in mode 4, which is black and white, and then changing the palette as I get to where the strip of plastic would be. But for some reason with Space Invaders I didn't do that, and it actually runs in mode 1, which has 4 colours, white, black, green and red in this case. There is a pattern to the spaceships to get the 300 every time, but it's not quite the same as the arcade, so you'll have to work it out for yourself. There is a secret to making the Space Invaders move at the right speed, and that is that you move one Space Invader and the player ship every frame, so the less Space Invaders there are, the faster they appear to move. Actually it's more often, but I guess that's the same thing. You can walk the Space Invaders as they won't shoot you when they're immediately above your ship, but not everything is arcade identical. I hope you noticed the little alien at the beginning coming on and taking the Y off and bringing it back the right way up. I figured since the game was so simple I should at least put in some of the extra bits for it, like the screen fades that wipe sideways. Looks like I've just discovered a bug, a secret. If you shoot the score from the spaceship, you get to score it twice, I think. As usual, I've had trouble getting the sound to match what the arcade game does. In this case it's especially different because the arcade game is built out of analog components and doesn't actually have a sound chip to copy the register settings for. The hardest one is Your Shots. Some people say it sounds like a high-pitched whistle, and others say it sounds very accurate. Sometimes, well, I think it depends which machine you're listening to it on, how close it sounds. But if you have a better one that sounds more like the arcade, I'd love to have a copy of it if you wouldn't mind sharing it. Although Space Invaders isn't one of my favourite arcade games, it was in the nightclub that my dad used to run, and so was the one that I played the most early on. That's all I really got to say about Space Invaders. You can watch the rest of my game if you like, although it's not very exciting.